Hello ladies and gentlemen, my name is Shinobazu, I'm your gaming and anime ninja, and before we get into this, I have some quick housekeeping. First, this is going to be the very first of my finale reactions. These will be slightly different than my intro reactions or my other reactions to the first episodes or however many episodes that go on to the beginning of the series. My finale reactions will be more reserved for basically the final episodes or the final seasonal episodes at the very least of series that are ongoing that I personally have already watched through and have enjoyed, like Darling in the FRANXX. These videos will have a little bit less stop motion commentary in between the episode, so at least while the episode's running I'll probably be doing a lot less pausing. I'll be more sitting down, focusing intently on the episode, just kind of letting whatever I'm thinking freely express from my mouth, but not spending too much time stopping and commenting on what's going on while I'm happening. And I'm probably going to spend a bit more time just in the moment of the episode. After the episode, I'll give a quick thoughts on the episode as a whole, as well as my thoughts on the quick run back of my thoughts of the series as a whole before going into doing a full review of the series on a later date in another video. That being said, I just want to make sure that was clear so people understand kind of the differences, why this video might be different than, say, like my reaction to episode 1 of Dragon Ball Heroes or something like that. Because I just kind of want to enjoy the show. And I might have some moments. I don't cry much in animes. I know some people do that. I doubt I'll be crying here. But I may have some gasp moments or some oh no, or anything like that. So I just wanted you guys to be able to experience that with me. That being said, you also might notice a little bit of sound distortion in the background. I'm only bringing it up because I know someone will probably mention it in the comments. I'll probably never mention it again, at least not until it's gone. But long story short is I like doing videos. I like being able to bring videos like these guys more often. Unfortunately, I live in Las Vegas where it's currently 110 degrees and very commonly over 100 degrees. So to sit in my room and record these videos with no air conditioning is extremely hard. I have a private air conditioning that's in my room, but it's also really close to my mic and setup, so it makes it a little bit easier for you guys to hear the sound when I'm not talking. Again, I apologize for that. I thought long and hard about it, and I've just decided that I'm just going to let the air conditioner play and try to do my best to edit around it. If it bugs you, I apologize. It'll be gone as soon as it cools off here. But I would rather continually bring you content than limit how often I can bring you guys content based on factors around me that I can't control, like the weather. Either way, I appreciate you guys for dealing with it and for dealing with me and watching the video. And now that all the housekeeping is out of the way, I would like to let you know that it is now time for Darling in the FRANXX, episode 24, Never Let Me Go. So, let's get to it, boys. I don't know if I'm actually ready for this. I've already seen some people tweet about it, and I'm just like, man. Let's get to it. Oh, rip. I have to switch my sound. So give me one quick second to do that. As weird as these two R's that come on the back, careful about flying too close to the sun, you.
こういうことはしっかりしておきましょう。はい。
I'm glad they're back together.
あら、よっこ。行こう。大
Ready
丈
for
夫
the。next fight, huh?
時間ならたっぷりあるさ。
みつる、早く。心さん。
Aww, that's a little baby.
ほら、パパですよ。それは私たちが選んだ最初の未来だった。
よくやったみつる。お前がパパ1号だ。
それを私たちは決して忘れない。
It's rough. Does she not have arms?
私泣くくらい。ちょっと。
じゃあみんな元気で。行くのに頼まれたものを探してくるよ。
My man.
はい、よろしく。 別れた出会いを繰り返して
怒ってたよ。怒ってたよ。
いいの、先生は会議なんか出なくても。そんなこと言うやつにはこうだ。
ちょっと。
I got stuff to
やっ
do.
てたよ。
I got
せ
stuff
っか
to
くみん
do.
なが集まる日だってのに。
So I guess they all just kept dancing around that tree that was 02. They rebuilt big
い
cities.
つかきっと。
いつかきっと。
Managed to make it back to the tree. Studio trigger an alien picture.
平気。あいつ
大丈夫？
あなたは誰？
僕の名前は
I'm actually at a loss for words for a moment there, chat. Just give me a second to just take that in. It's rough. If it's odd enough that like the end of Road to Ninja's theme song is playing right now in my ear, it's a pretty good song. I enjoyed it and I appreciate it. If you guys know the Road to Ninja theme, that's what's playing in my head right now. This is a weird episode. Not only did they not have the opening song, but they didn't have the ending song either. They had like songs that were like permeated throughout the series, but they didn't have neither the opening nor the ending, which is like, I don't know. I guess it's a common thing. Now that I think about it, I don't think Gurren Lagann had the main theme Sario Days play during the final battle. And I won't lie, I don't feel like this show's final battle was as epic. I think a big thing about me is I'm having a hard time like splitting the parallels between this series and Gurren Lagann. There was a lot that went along with Gurren Lagann that, like, in terms of the final confrontation, like how the final confrontation was handled, them like breaking down out of the giant ship that they were and then attacking with the little ship, and then even like the ending to an extent, like, and like till this ended with Hiro and 02, comparing to that which ended with, you know, Simon and Nia, and then Nia disappearing. And then I feel like if there was one major difference, it was that. It was the difference of like how Nia disappeared, but she knew she was going to disappear beforehand. And so them having to come to grips or come to terms with that while still finishing it. I guess, although technically they both didn't disappear at the same time, Simon disappeared afterwards. I don't know. I enjoyed it, that's for sure. It was more, I guess I have less reaction because it was more of an epilogue. Like Gurren Lagann had that too, where like they did their epilogue in 5 minutes, but like the epilogue for this series kind of happened in tandem with the ending of the final battle, which is, it makes it weird to kind of review because two things, essentially we were watching two stories at the same time. We were watching them going through the trials and tribulations of making a new life and what that looks like in terms of making a new life for people on Earth, while at the same time, like, they were still fighting the final battle. And again, on top of that, it's really hard to like figure out or decide just like how these guys, I don't know, there's too much. I may come up and I may in a future video look at this like disappointedly, but it doesn't bother me now as much now, but I think it may bother me more later, just how similar these final antagonists were to the anti-spiral. I don't know. There is a big part of me that's having, I guess, in my retrospect of the series. I enjoyed the series. It was interesting. It was fun. I do think before the big reveal of how like the world came to be, the world building was really interesting, and I was wondering how they were going to flesh out the world. I won't necessarily say that I'm like impressed with like the answers they gave for everything, but I did enjoy the ride along the way, and I believe that's probably what a lot of people enjoyed, like the build up to it, like the build up of wondering what these questions were, what was going on with these parents or these adults and things like that. Having all of those things happen, I think it was really good and really powerful for the build up of the series. I don't know. Man. I'm having a moment, guys. I apologize. It is still a lot to take in. It was a somber ending though, for sure. It's weird to see that it's over too. Like Dialing in the FRANXX, that was the final episode. I think too a big part of it is like the final episodes from the Trigger series. I didn't watch Keys and Ivor, which maybe that was their first cooperative production with A1 Pictures that I know Trigger has done. And I didn't get to see any of that. But I didn't watch most of that, I should say, which just did seem to hit on a little bit more. Based off what I've seen from Keys and Ivor, this seems a little bit closer to Keys and Ivor, like a mixture of Keys and Ivor with, like, say, Gurren Lagann. So, I don't know. What I will say is I enjoyed the series as a whole. I enjoyed the final episode. As more of an action person, admittedly, I would have liked to see more action combat, but this series in particular has never had a major focus on the action, so I don't hate the fact that it doesn't have it. I also don't hate the fact that they spent most of the ending focusing on what was happening on Earth and those people in the future, because, to be honest, that's what the story had always been about, like how these kids would grow, how they would learn to take care of themselves. And I think although we don't really learn what happened, like, well after, like, you know what I mean, like, what happened to them individually, we did get to see them as adults. We did, figure out they have an accelerated aging process, so they age a lot faster than normal, which means probably even more so since that one chick was already graying. Well, all of them are looking older. That one chick was already graying, so during a previous episode, she must have, like, overexerted and used a bunch of her age at once, which is a whole nother thing to get into another time. But I enjoyed the series. I enjoyed the final episode. Even though there wasn't as much action as I would have liked, I think that's fine. I think it was better if they focus on the kids, because I think that's would have been what more people cared about. But I don't feel like I have any unanswered questions. But does seem also very open-ended, even though this is finale. And they've done this with a lot of, like, their series, like Kill la Kill, like Gurren Lagann. Like, Gurren Lagann could have a sequel, and it would just be essentially about, like, how they would defeat the Spiral Nemesis. And Kill la Kill could have a sequel, because even though they defeated the life fiber that attacked Earth or their planet, there's still life fibers all around the universe doing the same thing. So that could still be, like, an interesting thing to address in the future in that world as well. But I think it's fine to leave those open-endedly. I'm just, If I had any downside, it's, to be honest, it just keeps recurring, is I think it's just how close it is to the previous tales they've already told. Like, realistically, whether it be between the life fibers or the anti-spiral or / spiral nemesis, the overarching tale here is very similar. It makes me wonder almost if maybe all of these are, like, in a shared universe, and, like, these are just different tales on different planets that they are all just calling Earth. So, like, Gurren Lagann is one tale, and then Kill la Kill is another tale, and then Darling in the FRANXX is, like, a third tale. And all of these are just all tales within the same universe. And we're just seeing the physical representation. Like, so what they know is, like, the Verum is basically the Spiral Nemesis and like, Simon's, like, world's perception. which is the life fibers from, you know, Ryoko's world perception. I think that'd be a really interesting concept, and the only way, like, I think that'd probably be the only way I'd be okay with them constantly recycling all of these end ideas where they're basically coming out to be the same thing. Also, they've been doing the same story structure of the subversion, now that I think about it. Because both Kill la Kill, Gurren Lagann, and this had the villain flip, in which you start off with your protagonist, and your protagonists are fighting someone, only to find out that their current antagonist is actually, which is a good way to write your antagonist, is the protagonist of their own tale, fighting a greater evil. And the things that the our current protagonist see as evil is only their way of defending and defeating the antagonist, or protecting themselves from the oncoming overarching antagonist. But I don't know. It's interesting. It didn't make me sad enough to cry. I don't know. It's hard to make me cry. I've told a lot of people before. People are like, why do you have no heart? It's like, not that I have no heart. It's just you've got to build up properly, and like I don't think a lot of these shows have enough time to build up properly. And I think the biggest thing is, like, as much as I care about Zero Two, like, as much as I enjoy the characters, I don't. Unfortunately, I can empathize with the characters, I can sympathize with the characters, and I enjoy watching them, but I don't inherently relate to them. Like, I'm not as attached. And I'm sure there's some people who just more easily get this way, but I don't get as attached to these people as other people do. The only two times, like, I felt like legitimately sad in recent gaming memory was in Gears of War, both when Dom had to kill his wife and when Dom died. That was because I spent years with, like, that trio, like Marcus and Dominic Santiago. And then the only other time was during Road to Ninja, and then during Naruto's birthday, one of the final episodes of the Naruto arc, right before the Naruto Sasuke fight, the final Naruto Sasuke fight, when Naruto has to say goodbye to his father. But that's just because I'd spent the last, 10 or so years, if not longer, watching Naruto, like, every day, every week, every weekend. And, like, I grew up with him. So, like, that episode, when I first started watching Naruto was, a little kid like me, graduating, basically going into high school. And I was in 8th grade, little kid graduating, going to high school. And we grew up all the way to being out of high school, which is where I was, and him basically being almost in the shy of being adult, turning 16 or 17 years old. And then coming at the end of that, so this kid I grew up with my entire life, basically getting to say goodbye to the father he never really got to meet. So, like, that was like watching to me at least, at that point, because I'd spent so much time with him, that was like watching my friend say goodbye to his dad. And that's why, like, I felt like I had more of a connection there, just because I had time to grow that connection. Even over the 4 or 5 weeks or whatever we've seen this, or 4 or 5 months we've watched this, can't say that the connection was there for me for these characters. But I did still enjoy the story. But I guess that's all I have to say for now for Darling in the FRANXX. I may do a full review later where I go on a bit more in detail of what I liked about the series, what I didn't like, the soundtrack, so on and so forth. But that's just my initial first reaction impressions of the final episode. I hope you guys enjoyed watching this. I hope it wasn't too long. I apologize for spending more time talking about the episode than actually, like, showing reaction shots from me watching the series. I apologize. But, like I said, it was great. Hope you guys enjoyed it. Until next time, though, ladies and gents, my name is Shinobazu. I'm your gaming internet ninja, and I'll see you guys a little bit later. But before we leave, quick side note, if you guys don't know, all my social medias are right here. Follow me there. Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, the whole 9 yards. Right down there. Except Facebook is wrong. You take out the 13 on Facebook. I got Shinobazu on Facebook, so we're good there. But also, if you ever want to, if you're watching this live and you happen to be in the middle of the night, I stream just about every night from 11 to 6 a.m. PST, so 11 p.m. to 6 a.m. Click that thing right there. It says twitch.tv/Shinobazu. If you want to talk about this, Darling in the FRANXX, any other anime, whatever it is, whatever led you there, I'm always live. You're always welcome to come through, say hi, let me know you came from the video. Let me know what you thought about the video live. And if you have any other questions you want to ask me about the series or anything like that, or other animes I've seen, please feel free to post them there. Like I said, I'm pretty interactive in my chat. no matter how big it gets, I'm pretty good at answering questions, and we talk about anime and whatnot all the time. But I want to thank you guys for watching. Till next time, my name is Shinobazu. I'm your gaming anime ninja, and I'll see you guys later, alright? I love you. Bye-bye.